How are you, Shelley?
How
I'm
are you?
good. Good morning, everybody.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. As always, thank you to everyone watching and joining us for this segment of Shelley Speaks Politics. Now, I have two political updates that I want to bring this morning, so I'm going to get started right away. As we all know, day one of Trump's impeachment trial took place yesterday. And I watched about 4 hours of the trial. That was honestly, it was a snooze fest, but it was it was necessary to pay attention to it to see both sides. Now, in the beginning, they had to vote on whether or not this trial was even constitutional or not, which they did, and ultimately the vote came back that it was constitutional. They had about 6 Republican senators that did join in with the Democrats in saying that the trial was constitutional, so they went ahead and proceeded with it. And there was a lot of interesting dynamics to this impeachment trial, at least day one of it. But what I will say is this: Trump's defense team, they did a pretty good job in trying to defend him. The Democrats, they presented their information. Everybody did their best to defend what it is that they're saying took place. But what Trump's defense team is saying is that Trump's words were simply being taken out of context. When he said to his supporters to go out there and fight like hell, or they won't have a country left, they're saying that he was using those terms figuratively, and he did not mean to actually tell anybody to go out there and be violent. Ultimately, they're saying what it is that he said was to tell his supporters to go out there and peacefully and patriotically let their voices be heard. His defense team accused the Democrats of cherry picking from Trump's speech to find things that would support their arguments. So the Democrats are saying what Trump's defense team is leaving out is Trump's baseless claims of election fraud, which led a lot of people to, get riled up and go ahead and want to attack the Capitol. Now, I'm going to stop right here before I get into the second half of how I feel about this impeachment trial, and I'm going to go ahead and let Ray and Lady Z chime in.
Okay. Okay, Dre, you got? Well, I don't as far as his lawyers, most of the reports, and I love doing this. I love listening around to different news stations to see what other people's takes are, not just in my little bubble. So what I was hearing was, the lawyers, especially the one that was a criminal lawyer, I think he just picked up 4 days ago, after his whole lawyer team walked out on him a week ago. So he's dealing with some piecemeal packages. I got a friend who's a lawyer. I got a friend over here. I got a friend over there. So one of them, I was looking for the name, and I will get it. One of them is a criminal lawyer. So that didn't even match, because the first thing they said that Donald was pissed off. Donald was really upset because when it was this man's turn to speak, this man said, listen, don't impeach him. You can always get him in criminal court, but it's not impeachable. So they said he blew the roof. The former president blew his roof right there. But that man only know what that man know. That man know criminal. So that man was saying, don't impeach him. My job is to not get him impeached. And I'm fumbling it because I can't find my story. The other lawyer botched up what he was saying, because it was as if Mr. Radley said it was like he was throwing spaghetti against the wall to see what was stick, and no one even touched on the subject of why they were there. Now my thing is, where your Dershowitz? Where your Giuliani's? Where's your two Les Parners? Where your Russians at? Where all your people at? It was just a debacle. It pretty much represented the Republican Party as far as I'm concerned, and most of the news stories I saw, it was just toe up from the flow up, which is what the Republican Party is. Back to you, Dre.
It might be an important part of the defense that they might be leaving out, is that it's not the majority of the people that were out at the protest that went to the majority of the people that were out there that day were only peacefully protesting. It was a very small minority of the people that were actually out there that broke into the Capitol and did all of that. And my question is, when since we started going by minority rules? Because the majority of the people that were there peacefully and left peacefully, never tried to get into the Capitol, never did any of that. But rather than focusing on those people, and these, like you said, the words are being taken out of context. But you see, this is how powerful the media is. The media puts this microscope on these tiny amounts of people, the minority of the Patriot movement, that broke into the Capitol, and God knows who these people, the leaders of these people, the agitators of these people really were. You know what I mean? Just like in the Black Lives Matter thing, it was not the majority of us out there burning, looting, or it was a very small minority of people that were doing that stuff. But the media took and put their focus lens and put it on that, and forget about all the whole millions of people that were out here doing it peacefully. And that's my thing. When did we start going by minority rules rather than majority rules?
Well, I want to jump in here for a minute because Lady T mentioned something extremely interesting when she said that Donald Trump got upset when one of his defense attorneys said, why don't they pursue him criminally in a criminal court? That may have sounded stupid to a lot of people, but I think that was actually very clever, because they know good and well that this isn't going to go anywhere in a criminal court. What would be anyone's basis to say he incited this riot in a criminal court? By words that he said that his defense attorneys and himself are saying were being used figuratively. So my thing is, how can you incriminate somebody just off the basis that you're going to tell them what the context of their words were? You can't tell someone what they meant by what they said. That's why I feel like this entire thing is just a theatrical performance, honestly. You cannot tell him what he meant by what he said. He didn't do anything violent to anyone. So my thing is, what is the basis of this? I don't think that they really expect to get anywhere. I think that this is just the framework for some new laws to be passed. Because this entire trial, I honestly feel like it isn't going anywhere. Again, they cannot tell him what he meant by what he said. And that's basically what they're focusing on. Things that were said that they may not be putting in the proper context. So it's a very slippery slope when it's tit for tat and you're going back and forth trying to tell someone what they meant by statements that they made. The person who said it is the only one that can put it into context for you. The Democrats are trying to frame this in a way that they can tell him what he meant, and they simply just cannot do that. Him saying the election was illegitimate, I don't think is a grounds for impeachment. No matter who got upset by what he said, that does not fall on him. Anybody who decided to go and be violent, they need to be held accountable for that. I honestly don't see how that blame can be placed on him as an individual when he did not do anything violent to anyone. So again, this is very interesting. I think that what the Democrats' aim is with this is to get people emotionally triggered and emotionally charged, and hopefully they'll be able to get something done. But I don't see this going anywhere. That's just my personal feelings about it.
Exactly, I agree too. And people know how the Republicans are gonna vote, because God, you can't find a pair of balls in between all 60 of them. So we already know the outcome because everybody's afraid of, this guy's perceived as their God, their pimp. So they won't go against him at all. So we already know the people ain't gonna impeach, ain't gonna convict like they did the last time, and they're not gonna convict this time. My satisfaction is in knowing that another one of my dollars won't go towards you playing golf or you having Secret Service or whatever. You can never run for office again. And the guy's name was Bruce Castor. Based on the lawyer, one of the lawyers said that he did think that they had a good day, but a lot of people were saying, I hate that phrase, a lot of people. Okay, some of the stuff that I know I gotta do it for myself. Some of the news stations that I did my homework on were saying things like those who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities. How is it surprising? Yes, men are everywhere, if ever the best. Never underestimate the power of stupid people in large groups. They were saying that these people already know how they're gonna vote. You and I do too. You and I, not I ain't talking about the panel. Y'all know how these people gonna vote. You know they're not gonna stand up to this man. You know about the Kool-Aid. I ain't got to tell you about all that. And yes, it was very, very insightful. It was one of them speeches that made you want to get up and go and do something. I hate watching race-related movies because once you come out the theater, the first person of different color that says something, it's something that happened to your blood pressure, your body. You revved up. Them people was revved up. And I think it was carefully laid and perfectly planned to show the actual voice from the crowd. F him up, kill Mike Pence, hang Mike, as he's saying what he's saying. And they put the correlation so perfect. It just made him look like that Mickey Mouse, as opposed to somebody who actually know what they're doing. But you got to call it like it is. He acquired these people 2 or 3 days ago. So yes, you're going to get what you're going to get based on what you got before and how you treated them and what happened. So yes, back to you, Dre.
You got another part of the story, Shelly? Because I don't know.
This is my thing. In remarks to them not having the balls to stand up to him, I honestly feel like they just don't believe that this is this impeachment trial has a basis to take place. Again, what is the Democrats using to say that he is the reason that this riot took place? Are they going based off what they feel it is that he said? That's my thing. Like I said earlier, how can you tell someone what the context of their statements are? They're saying that statement was figurative. And if that's what they're saying, who are we to say that it wasn't? This is a back and forth, he said, she said type of thing. And that's why it's not gonna go anywhere. The Democrats are trying to curtail this into us believing that he said it the way that they want us to believe that it was said. And you simply just cannot do that. You have to have some factual evidence, not just hearsay. And that's, I'm sorry?
No, I love that you said you have to have some factual evidence. That caught me by surprise. I've been begging for that forever with the election being stolen. But it just caught me by surprise. I'm sorry, go ahead.
The thing of it is that there was information presented. Now, whether or not people want to accept the information for what it is a different story. Because just because you don't like the information that's being presented to you doesn't mean that it's not there for you to see. And that's the thing. Like I said before, with those voting systems, there was information that was presented that showed irregularities with those voting systems. But you know, people didn't really care about that. So again, you can't force people to obtain information that they're just not willing to obtain. Um, but my thing of it is, like I said, I feel like this is a tit for tat type of thing. I don't fully even understand why they're doing it. They already said that they don't feel like the Republicans are going to vote to impeach him, but they went ahead with the trial anyway. So, like I said, I don't even really fully understand what the premise of this is when it comes to the Democrats, because they're playing videos and they're playing, clips of things that people said. I just don't see how they put this all on one person and say, okay, this person is responsible for this, when at the end of the day, he did tell them to peacefully make their voices be heard. That's something that they're not really concentrating on that much, because it doesn't fit their narrative. And, that's something that I feel is being done a lot in the media these days. They're telling the story from the angle that they want it to be told and not giving both sides of it. And, here we are.
On that note, Chels, no, who tells a story to suit the other person?
I'm not saying that they should.
No.
I'm just saying that when you're having a trial and you're trying to shape the narrative and tell someone what it is that they meant to say, how is that your argument? Like, how is that your evidence? I don't understand that. What more do they have other than how they feel he meant to convey his message? What more do they have? Nothing.
But like you said before, when you started this thing out, this is not about impeaching Trump. Not in the bigger headset. Like, really and truly, this is really not about impeaching Trump. Trump is just like the tool that is being used to usher in restriction of speech. It's the tool. He is the tool that's being used to usher in restriction of speech. Because if this trial has any kind of success, now we have set a precedent for this to happen to anybody. Because if it can happen to the former president, then who the hell are you or I? So I think there's a whole lot of truth to what you just said, and I guess that is why your name is Shelly Speaks Truth.
This is the thing. I don't want people to think that I'm just trying to dump on the Democrats, because that's not what I'm doing. For me, I'm taking a step back and looking at this. I want the Democrats to make it make sense. I want them to make it make sense how their only defense is what they think somebody meant to say. Like, where do you think you're going to get with that type of defense? That's not a real defense.
Oh, you know what just popped into head? The court of public opinion. You see, because it really sometimes, and especially as of late, when things are so much focused on, then it, just like Lady T keeps on saying, if I tell you this is an apple every freaking day, 8 times a day, and I shove it into your head, for 4 years in a row, all of a sudden some people are going to start believing this is a freaking apple. When they bite into it, they might have a different outcome, but some people are going to start believing it's an apple. You know what I mean? So when they take things like this and they focus on it and they focus on it and they focus on it, then you almost don't need a conviction. You don't need success in the actual trial, because you've got success in the court of public opinion. And if the public opinion says that it's okay to monitor free speech, then you've won.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think that's the ultimate goal of this whole thing, really.
Yeah. That was another really good episode of Shelly Speaks Politics on Urban Country Mornings. Do remember to catch us Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Now, I wanted to jump on here real quick and let you guys know that I apologize for us not being on YouTube live with the morning shows anymore. With that being said, we are hosting the morning shows and every other show on Urban Country Films right at urbancountryfilms.com. We are now streaming live 24/7 on our own platform on urbancountryfilms.com. The link is right below the video, so please check out any one of the live shows that you've subscribed to this page for at urbancountryfilms.com. Thanks again for all your support. And remember, if you subscribe to this channel, I am your #1 fan.